Mr. Xpedition America, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm not going to cut out the bits and pieces in between unless we start screaming at each other negatively, which I doubt, but still. Hello, podcasters, and thanks for signing in and listening. I know that the majority of my channel is listened to, according to the numbers, middle-aged male America. It's like 64%, and I wish there were some ladies that would log on, but today I'd like to introduce Cody Foster. He is the owner of an Instagram channel, and I think, do you have a YouTube channel, Cody?
Yeah, I also started a YouTube channel this year called Xpedition Academy with an X to mirror the Xpedition America.
Oh, roger that. Okay, cool. So, online is Cody Foster from Xpedition America. He's got a very nice following on Instagram, some great pages. Except for your last one I see here with Will Smith. You'll have to explain that. But if you guys want to know more, follow him. It's Xpedition, as he said, with an at and then an X. There's no E before it. And otherwise, type in Cody Foster. I'm sure it'll pop up on most of your channels. Cody, thanks very much for the time. I know that it's late there with you, and I know that you have a lot going on, and you have a great history with the Marines, and you're using some of that outdoors, I take it, and mostly you're using a Land Rover, man. I'm a Defender guy. You've got a Disco. Is it a 3 or a 4? It looks like a 3, right?
Yeah, so I have a 3. So it's my second one. So before that, I had a Disco 2. So this is my Disco 3, which I do like it a little better than my 2 for a few reasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't. Do you ever you have a 110, right?
I have a 110, yes.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you what, the Disco 2, it's probably I think it's a cooler looking rig, but man, that petrol engine we have here is garbage.
Really? Garbage. It's a V8, right?
Oh, it's a V8. It gets like 9 miles to the gallon and puts out like 180 horsepower. So I don't know how that works, but
it is big and better. You know, it's the fuel bills are large because the engines are huge. It's I've been to the US a number of times, never overlanding, unfortunately, but every time you sit down and you're about to have a bite to eat, someone comes past with an engine just growling and roaring. It's hilarious.
But yeah, like, so the LR3 or the Disco 3, it's got a V8, but it puts out I want to say right at 300 horsepower versus that Disco 2, which is, I can't remember the cubic inches, but it only pushes, barely cracked 100. It was so slow. It was so slow. I loved it,
but very, very capable. Oh, it was a manual or an automatic.
It's automatic. So he had straight axles and coils, which is the best combination of suspension you can use. But it just But on the trail it was fine because you put everything. I don't go faster than 30 miles an hour. So once I was on the trail, I just put it in low range to give me a little more pep in my step. It was just on the highway. I was always the slowest horse in the race. Getting somewhere
as slow as possible, as fast as necessary.
Yes,
that was originally from Land Rover, and they weren't joking when they said
it is true though. Like I'm not a hot rod. I don't hot rod, so which helps, and it keeps you from breaking things on the trail. But yeah, they definitely, that Disco 2 didn't allow you to hot rod, which is fine.
Yeah, no, that's very true. All right, so let's get to it, man. So folks, we have a very different scenario here. Like most of the people that are going to be chatting on the podcast, Cody has lives in a environment that isn't completely different to what we have in South Africa. The scenarios, the issues are quite different, and I'm going to pick up on a few of the pictures on your Instagram. But let's just talk about terrain for now. The overlanding terrain that you experience is more mountainous, hilly, or is it, do you get to see any of the big green forestry type side of it?
So I would say probably the best area to live in, to actually go and explore different types of terrain, is like the Southern California, Western Arizona, because within probably like a 300 to 400 mile radius, you have like the big open deserts. You go up towards the Eastern Sierras, you have the typical like granite rocky mountains where you're going up to 8,000 feet in snow. And then at the same time, you could go to if you head to south, you can go like the big, huge Glamis sand dunes, which is like our very small version, like the Sahara. You know what I mean? You have these huge sand dunes that people play in, all in a little tight radius.
And where do you prefer? I mean, what's your standard go-to if you could?
Man, I would say desert, I guess, because Utah is probably I would say the most beautiful state when it comes to exploring, and it's pretty open. There's plenty of land you can go on where you can go hundreds of miles and not see anybody else and not see any pavement or see other people, or it's just you and the outdoors. And it's got that nice red, like plateaus and then like nice red rock and then it's got some springs that will pop up here and there. I mean, it's something else, man. It's amazing. Yeah, Utah's my favorite by far.
It sounds epic. I mean, for like me, I mean, I live in Cape Town where we generally have waist and head height bush.
Right.
We have what's very famous. It's called fynbos, which means very fine bush, and the leaves are tiny, 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 and there's like 4,500 different species of this bush alone, and it's what we get for the first, I think, could be up to like 200 kilometers leaving Cape Town going north. So for me to get somewhere that's a different environment, I got to drive like 8-9 hours.
Oh man, that's a lot.
Before I get to, I got to drive 5.5. Well, no, let's just make it 7 hours to get to Namibia. I got to drive about 10 hours, maybe a little bit more to get to Botswana. But that's when the things really start changing. Namibia, the southern parts of Namibia, the bottom half of where Windhoek is just nothing. You just drive and there's like one blade of grass, and how it survives I don't know, but it's there. It is incredibly remote. So I think most of us, I love the bush. I grew up in the mountains, so for me, I'm like, I want the big trees and the green grass and the blue water. That's really what I love.
So I grew up in the southern part of the United States, which is all, pine tree forest for the most part. They get hardwoods too, but it's pine tree forest. So, but the problem is if you want to do, the United States has different pockets of, very dense population. So like the Southwest seems to be the most variety, and it has the most areas where you can really get out in the middle of nowhere, where there's no guy could be anybody else, like Arizona and especially Utah and Nevada. With the trip going on at the end of the year, it's going to cross Nevada, and it'll be probably, I haven't got it all planned out, so 700-ish miles, and 100% dirt, no pavement, crossing the whole state.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to ask another question here. Rooftop tent, ground tent, when you do trips like that, what's your best?
So I had my Disco 2 before. I was a solo. Either my buddies would go with me as a passenger, or I'd just go by myself, and I would just sleep on the ground. I had like an isomat, what do you call it? Civilian version would be like a thermarest, like just something like a little layer to keep you off the ground. I sleep in a sleeping bag, and if it was raining, I just put up like a poncho, make a lean-to. That was my go-to. Just because, and it wasn't a matter of trying to be tough. I was lazy. It was just super easy because it takes really? 2 seconds. You lay it out, and you're done. In the morning, it's nothing to put away. And then fast forward, let's see. Yeah, that was my go-to. I was never anywhere long enough to set up like an actual tent, so that would be it for the night. Yeah. And then when I ended up getting my Disco 3, my LR3, I bought a rooftop tent, which I did like it. There's a lot of benefits to it. Only thing like saying I didn't like about it is you have to set it up and take it down. I just hated it. It was so annoying to me. I don't know why.
Well, they've come a long way. I'm going to be doing a podcast with a guy, Jason, who's based in Durban, up the road from us in Cape Town, who's the agent for iCamper, and I actually have the iCamper.
But yours,
and it's super comfy and quick.
But yours is like the one. It doesn't fold. It pops up on its own almost, doesn't it? And you can keep all your bedding and everything in there. Is that the idea?
So in the iCamper, it's a bit of a challenge. You can leave like one sleeping bag, maybe two, depending on the size. Not really a pillow type of vibe. But my one opens up as a king size bed, so it's pretty huge. When you get the other ones, and you get like the Alucab, for example, right, which is very popular, those clamshells, you can leave like your pillows, some shoes, sleeping bags, but then the size is very different. So the size is much smaller. You can sleep too comfortably in an Alucab. On mine, on the 4-sleeper, it is the biggest, I think, in the globe at the moment. and I can sleep my wife, my daughter, probably another kid or another adult, no problem. So it really depends. There's always a way off.
And now the reason the same thing. So the reason I got a rooftop tent because my wife wanted to start going out with me, and she was always worried about getting eaten by some animal. So by being like in the elevated position, you get the position of advantage. So that was the reason I went with the rooftop tent. I think maybe if I had. So I had the type that folded out like a book. So it opened, you unzip the case, you pull the case off, and then it folds out like a book. So it was a front runner, which
that's the square one. Right?
One. So it was, the tent itself was very nice. Okay. Like I build quality and all that stuff. There was nothing wrong with it. It was merely me being lazy, not liking to stop at 7:00 at night, get out. And then because it's an SUV versus like a truck bed where it's almost chest level, I'd have to get up, climb on top of it, unzip everything, fold it out, get down, fold everything up. It's just a lot of climbing. I think I was like on a jungle gym. I was climbing all the time just to get everything set up. And then I had to bring my bedding out, put it inside. And in the morning, it was just a reverse process, which I found it very annoying. So that's what turned me off to eventually. So I ended up selling it.
It sounds like the Alucab version is perfect for you. I know the guy, Jeremy. I'm sure they have agents in the US that you can reach out to.
If I ever trade and get to like I've thought it before, if I ever say I get rid of the SUV and go like pickup truck, I would do something like one of those bed shells that has the pop-up tent. Because I'd be fine. It's just a matter of convenience for me more than anything else. Because what I have now is super convenient. So what I end up doing with my my Disco 3, my LR3, I took out the middle seats. So my second row seats, I just pulled them out, and then the rear seats, they fold flat in those, so you don't really have to remove them. And they just make a flat platform. And I built I wouldn't say a shelf. Well, I built like a layer where I could make a bed on the inside. I bought a bed off Amazon. Yeah. It's like a 4-inch mattress you can fold up. So now I just sleep inside, and it's by far the most convenient. I like it because it's always, you don't have to pull all your stuff out. All I really do is open the back. I pull out the mattress, lay it out flat, stick it back inside, and it's good to go.
Sounds very cozy. So another question that I wanted to ask you: your equipment, where would you generally look for what do you need? Do you go on Amazon? Do you go onto YouTube stores? I'm not YouTube, sorry, onto online stores, or do you develop what you can yourself? I mean, South Africans are very well known for making our own things. I've been doing podcasts, like 1-minute podcasts on Instagram on like hacks. And I didn't realize how many things that I've done over the years to simplify certain things. Right. And I love Amazon. I love it. But the problem for us is shipping it here is super costly. And in some cases, the same cost as the item. So, with our exchange rate is one problem. And then the cost of shipping it is the other problem. So, where do you go to REI? Do you go to your online stores? I mean, what's your, where is your general research done?
So let me think. So the whole bed platform, I guess technically, I've been doing this quite a long time, and I've changed up. I mean, you think you have one idea in your head of something's going to work, and then when you start using it, you realize it doesn't work as well as you thought. So before, I had my rooftop tent in the back. I had these. Let me rewind a little bit before that. So my very first thing that I used, which is very handy, but it was very simple and it was cheap, which is a big bonus. I made just a simple. It almost was like a coffee table that just sat in the back of my Disco 2, where I could put 2 bins below it and 2 bins above it. Just plastic, storage bins, nothing fancy. No, actually, 2 plastic storage bins below it and 2 above it, just to separate your gear. So I didn't have a whole wall of gear. If I want to get the stuff below, I pull it out. And that was something I built myself, and it was cheap and simple. And I ended up, after that, going I got Front Runner, like a slide. So that was actually really nice. I liked it. And it came with 6 individual cubes. I think they were some sort of named after some sort of animal. I want to say it was wolf cubes. Maybe bear cubes, one of the things. They were like the little boxes that went into the slide. And I did that for a while, which I liked. But I ended up getting rid of that because I was going to the sleeping inside, which that didn't work with that platform. And then I just built my inside sleeping platform. I built it. I carved out a spot to put my big Dometic fridge, which is like, I think it's a 75 liter. So it's a dual zone fridge. And then on the backside of it, I ended up building I bought the face, which is all the switches for all like my water pumps and my lights and all that stuff. But I built a little cubby, I call my electronic hub, where I have my 1500 watts inverter with all the switches and my plugs so I could charge stuff. And I ran cables from that. So I did, that was all built myself, I guess.
That's very cool. All right. So that's what we like to hear, innovation is fantastic. So who is your favorite YouTuber or channel?
The reason I built it was more because I think it was just cheap. It was just me being cheap. If I could have found it, I think pre-built, I would probably have bought it. But I think it was just good.
Listen, Cody. Yeah. Cody, no good story ever starts it off with when I went to the kitchen to boil the kettle for a cup of tea. Right? A good story starts off with like, geez, man, I couldn't afford to do it, so I made it myself, and I slept wonky, but I loved
exactly.
it. That's exactly the way that it should be. So tell me, what's your nav system? What do you use for navigation? Now, I've seen that you use battle boards. I do the same. I do that as a hard copy and marking what I'm doing, but I use it for my humanitarian work when I go into Africa doing that. I'm helping the school kids with reading glasses, but that's another chat. So I love it. But what's your digital, I should say, navigation that you use?
So like everything else, everything evolves over the years. If prior to overlanding on my military side, I was always the point vehicle. So the first vehicle, and I was in charge of navigation. So I learned how to use maps and read maps and terrain, associate, how to use a compass, how to find the North Star, which that's what we use. We don't use the Southern Cross. We use the North Star up here on the northern side of the hemisphere. And so I was big into that. And then when I came over, I started doing essentially like my military job on the civilian side with overlanding. First, I had just paper maps I got from. They're so slow though. That's the only thing I don't like maps as a go-to because they're just slow. But I got paper maps from the local gas stations, and we just do that. But you have to, when you use paper maps, you have to set your odometer to like clock how many kilometers or miles you're going. And like, okay, I went 3 miles. Now you get to the fork in the road. You have to pull out your map, make sure you're going the right direction. So it works, and you should know how to do it because technology fails. But it's definitely slower than what I use now. So now I just have an Apple iPad where I use a Gaia program, which is like it's really popular here. It's like $30 a year for the membership. And it has tons and tons of different types of maps. You just download the area you're going to be in. You can plot the routes all on your computer prior to going out. And it's pretty damn simple. You just follow the line for the most part. So I use Gaia.
Interesting that you use an iPad. Sorry, is that I'm actually going the same route. At the moment, I'm waiting to hopefully get a sponsorship for an iPad. But I use my my iPhone X at the moment, and I connect the Garmin InReach Mini to that, and I use that app. I pay for the service for the month when I go into Africa, and I can track myself. I can use it for messages if I need to send messages back to my wife, tell her where I am, that type of thing. But I prefer to use my iPad, my big iPad, and my phone because I can put every other app on there. I can put Overlander. I can put maps.me. I can put Google. I can put. We have a very popular local one, like your Gaia. We have one called Tracks to Africa, which is fantastic, and they're very good and very knowledgeable, and you can put that on there too. So, my only frustration with Garmin and the likes is that it's locked down to only Garmin. The Garmin Overlander is a nice option, but it's only locked down for their apps, which to me makes no point. I mean, I would prefer to use, like you say, an iPad mini, which then simplifies the process. You can zoom in, zoom out, do other research.
Yeah, it's the space too, because I was like my phone, I don't know about you, but my phone's already got maxed out, 5,000 pictures and nothing on it. And so it's already like at the max. So as soon as you start downloading the maps, I mean, some of those maps, if you're going like, say you're doing a week long trip, you're covering, 400 or 500 miles. And that's a lot of space, a lot of maps you need to download. And then depending on the train itself, you might have to download some alternate routes, which will even expand that. So I was having problems with my original iPad mini I had a while back. It was only like 15 gigs. I end up like spacing it out, so I ended up getting a new one just so I could put all the downloaded maps. And then also, me and my wife go out, and it'll be like a Friday night, and we're like, let's just drive north. And I don't want to have to. I just keep all the maps. I pretty much have all the maps downloaded of everything from Utah to Arizona to the Mexican border, all the way to the West Coast. Like I just keep them all downloaded just in case you want to go somewhere on a whim.
That's very cool. I use another one called Map Out.
Map Out.
Which is Map Out, which is pretty cool, and it's quite different, but it gives you a lot of tracks and walking tracks as well that you don't generally see. You have to be careful using it. It might be on someone's private property, but it's really nice options on it. Yeah, I can send you a link on it, and you can check it out. So next item on the list, best or most used item that you have.
Let me think.
Axe, scissors, your maps, kettle.
So not to, I always seem like I go back, but the one point on the iPad you got to watch out for, you have to get the cellular, the type that takes the SIM card for the iPads. You got to remember that, because I've had people buy them and say, "Oh, mine doesn't work when I go off the grid."
Yes,
because that's the only one that has the GPS module in it.
That's right.
So if you get a Wi-Fi only, it won't work unless you get like a Bluetooth then GPS module. So if you get it, make sure you get this one that comes with a SIM chip. You don't need to have the service; you just got to have the SIM chip model.
Good advice. That's true.
So best of, let me see. This is okay. So probably my most favorite thing that I was very hesitant to get for the longest time was actually a refrigerator, like a legit plug-in refrigerator. I mean, I was so against them for the longest time. I've had like just like the Yeti style Arctic multi-day coolers for the longest time, and I was always very skeptical of the fridge just because I was always worried that it was like if it would go out on me. Now I don't have anything to keep anything cool, and all my food would go bad. But it is probably the most. If you have a say you're going for a week, I don't care how good your refrigerator, your cooler is, your ice is still going to melt. And I've done everything from like try to do dry ice only, which I end up having frozen steaks because I didn't put enough cardboard around it. So to end up with, my buddy, our last day, we're ready to eat our steaks. Like it was like the last meal, and those things were rock solid because it set right next to the dry ice, frozen solid. So I tried that, and then if you have any sort of packaging, unless you vacuum seal it, if it's store-bought packaging, it's going to seep in. Your ham's going to be soaking wet with water. So you end up having to have a big cooler for drinks, like for all your beers and Cokes or whatever. And then you have to have a secondary cooler, like a small soft one for all your food. And I ended up being annoying. So now with the fridge, you just, you plug it in, you set the temperature. It's good to go.
So which one do you have?
I want to say I found it on sale on Black Friday. The Medic 75 liter. Yeah, dual zone. So it can do you can set the temperature in two areas. So I keep one that has area for food,
fridge freezer,
and one for my food. And the funny part,
that's very cool.
So like I said, I was so against having a fridge for the longest time. Like I don't trust it. It's going to fail on me. I know it. It's the very first time I go out and use it. We go to Death Valley, and it's in the January, February. So it's still pretty cold. It's in the 20, 30 degrees a night. So I get up in the morning and the fridge has been going all night. I get up, I open it up to get like my little Starbucks coffee or whatever out of it. And it feels warm. It feels warm inside. I'm like, son of a gun. I go, the damn thing doesn't work. I go, I knew it. It's the first day. I got 5 more days to be out. And like, my fridge is already broken first day. I was silly because inside the fridge was 32 degrees, but it felt warm because outside it was like 24. So it was so cold outside, the fridge actually felt warm. So I was good. I thought the thing was broken, but no, it was good. This is my favorite thing, though, by far.
It sounds like your head's broken, dude. It took you so long to get one of those. You're crazy, man. It's I think it was like the first thing I did. I have the Engel, and that thing is as robust as they get. But they're all generally good. You get the National Luna, which is made in South Africa. You get Snowmaster, which is made in China, developed in South Africa. You've got Engel, you've got the Dometic, and I think there's another one that I'm missing, but that they're generally all really good. Depending, to me, the fridge was a priority. If you vacuum pack your meat, and you actually, I'm pretty good at this. I vacuum pack my meat. I then write on it with a Koki. I write on there like how many pieces inside there, so that I know that if I'm going to take it out in the morning, I know how many pieces are there, so that I can figure out, okay, hang on, I have enough for 2 days or 1 day if I cook it tonight and that type of thing. So, dude, fridges, that should have been your first purchase, man. That took you a while.
I'm telling you.
A Marine, that's a real schoolboy era.
No, because it is definitely my favorite thing now. And before, is he getting? I definitely wish I got it earlier. But the pretty much, I didn't want. It was like, how much trying to think they cost. The cost, it didn't make sense of the cost either. And I ended up finding that. I think I found that 75 liter Dometic. I think I found it for like $800 out the door, which is really? Pretty damn. It was like a Black Friday sale or something. It was one of those kind of sale things. I lucked out with it. But yeah, I definitely really like it. It is my favorite thing because everything else is me. I got lights are no big deal. I mean, the winch I have radios. But yeah, that's probably been the most convenience item I like the most by far.
Very cool. Very cool. So Nav, we've covered. I'm just looking at a few other points over here. I wanted to pick your brain on. So you've told me what your favorite mod is in your vehicle. It was that bed that you made inside.
Yeah, the bed's good.
That's pretty cool.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Because the Land Rovers don't even have to do much to them. I mean, people ask, so what's the suspension? It's on airbags. It still has original airbags in it. So you can rate. I mean, the difference between low to high, I think, is about 11 inches that it can change.
Yes.
So you really don't have to do anything. I put the little lift rods, which all they do is trick the vehicle thinking it's lower than it is, so it raises itself up, and then that's it. So everything else is stock as far as suspension goes. So you don't have to do much. And I put a front bumper on it just because sometimes you got to smash stuff, and that's where I put that on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Sometimes there's been times where trees are across the road, so I smash. You hit the tree enough times, eventually it'll get pushed out of the way. But you don't have to do much so much. That's why I'm a big fan of the Land Rovers. They're pretty much set up to go out the gate.
They are pretty good. I have some awesome footage in Namibia, in the middle of nowhere, in the Koeka land, which is way up north where the Himba people are, dragging these huge trees around, towing them from the back so we can burn them at night so that the lions didn't come close and want to eat us. But anyway, that's a whole nother chat.
We have bears. You guys have lions, we have bears.
Yeah, well, I don't know which one I prefer.
Bears are way better. No, bears are way better because they don't want to eat you. Lions would legitimately, I think, want to eat you. Bears just want to eat your freezer packed food in your cooler. I think the lions legitimately want to eat you.
Listen, let me tell you a true story. Lions love eating Americans.
I believe it.
I'm not joking.
I believe it
100%. There is a number of articles out there where lions have literally dragged an American or something like that out of their tent, or they've climbed out their vehicle to take a photo close by. I mean, Americans are amazing. I mean,
you don't have to convince me. I've seen the movie Ghost in the Darkness. I know how it is. Yeah. I know how it is, bro.
It's amazing. So tell me quickly, you still married, right? Okay. Does your partner enjoy going out with you, or do you have to drag her along?
She loves it. She goes out with me. Me and her go solo all the time, the different places. Yeah, she's all about it. It's
that's very cool.
I've now stopped sleeping on the ground, so I made that adaptation for her. So she goes with me everywhere I go.
That's very, very cool. And then best and worst moment on a track that you've ever had.
Best and worst. I would say the best. I'll start with the worst first, so I end on a good note. So the worst we had, which it almost is the best and the worst in the same thing because everything worked out fine. We were going from, I don't know if you know where Flagstaff, Arizona is, but we were doing a big trip from Flagstaff up to the Grand Canyon and from the Grand Canyon to Lake Powell. And not just there's a spot in Lake Powell called Austin Point, but if I looked on a map and there's another spot that's way farther down that no one goes to, I'm like, well, that seems a lot more fun. So we decided to go to that one instead. And then we're going to come out the northern part of Lake Powell across something called Grand Bench. But anyway, so we had a long day that day. So we start about 8:00. We head north. We go to the Grand Canyon. This is all on, the first part was on pavement. And then we get to the Grand Canyon. From there, it's all on dirt. So we have lunch overlooking the Grand Canyon on this little dirt trail. We go north through Arizona, north into Utah. And so once we cross into Utah, and now we're like close to where Lake Powell is, we get some fuel and then we head out. So at this time, it's already, what time is it? It's probably 5, 6 in the afternoon, almost dark. And as we're going down to that spot, which is still another 30, 40 miles up on dirt. And like, I've never been there. I've only done the reconnaissance on a map, and there was no writings about it. My third vehicle, as we're driving, my buddy calls back. He's like, "Hey, I'm stuck." And he's like, he's the second vehicle. He's the one behind me. And the road was just pretty much a mountain road. It wasn't too treacherous or anything. And there was like a little muddy spot, which I thought he got stuck in the mud. So I'm just like, "Hey man, just put in," he's probably running 2-wheel drive because it wasn't that bad. I'm like, "Just put in 4-wheel drive. Let's go." He's like, "No, bro, I'm stuck." And the other buddy behind him was like, "No, he is stuck." We get back there and I'm like, "What?" And my mind was blown. I'm like, "What the hell is he even stuck on?" And I get back there. So what happened was, there was a bend in the road and it was been rainy. And so the trail itself was kind of like undercut because where the rain washes underneath it.
Yeah.
And he just, the rear tires tracked a little closer than it should have. And with the undercut, the ground gave away. And literally he had, I would say 2/3 of his vehicle was floating in the air over like a 15-foot drop followed by like a 40-foot ravine. And I get back there, I'm like, "Bro, how did this even happen?" And if it wasn't for like this ball hitch on his bumper, catching the lip behind him, he'd been done. He'd been toast. So we ended up having we pulled up one of the big Dodges and put it on the front as like an anchor, so in case the ground gave way, the truck wouldn't roll away. And then we hooked up another vehicle to it to slide it back onto the hard surface, and then with a winch, and then we had another winch behind it to pull it back out. So everybody worked. Man, luckily it was enough area where we all could get into it, and everybody worked together as a group, and we pulled them out. And then after the funny part, so that's the baddest thing because it could have been really, really bad. But after that, he still had to get in the driver's seat, and we still had 3 more hours of trail through some really gnarly stuff. So I give him tons of credit. From after almost rolling off a mountain and killing himself, he kept pushing it and was able to make it to the point at the end. So that was really good. So I say that's the best and worst all in the same thing.
Yeah, that's you only need to learn once on certain things, and when it becomes a close call, you have to sit down and just like figure out, like in your head, do I want to carry on with this or just
there's no listen, there's no option. Listen, this might be the military side, but if we need to get here, this is where we're getting. There's no turning back. We didn't make it to camp till midnight. But it was worth it because I knew in the morning, this overlooking of Lake Powell, I knew the area, and I was the only one that's been out there. So I knew what if they put a little more effort into it, that we worked together and got it done, that it was worth the time.
That's very cool. Listen, Cody, I really appreciate the time that you've given me, and I hope the listeners, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you like to see or hear more of this, actually, you can't see it, but if you'd like to hear more, let me know. But follow Cody's channels. He's online. I'll try and put a description down below that you can follow a link. Otherwise, in the beginning, you got the wording. Cody, thanks very much, man. Enjoy your rest tonight. I know it's late your side, and we'll catch up definitely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And my last closing statement for everybody that ever wants to go out and explore: you don't have to buy a lot of crap. All you need is 4-wheel drive, man. You get yourself a 4x truck, and then you can just scale it up later on. Don't delay your excitement and adventure because you're waiting on some piece of gear. You got recovery gear and some safety stuff. You're good. Hit the trail. Go explore.
That is a very, very true story. And talking about recovery gear, I see that you're linked with Yankum Ropes.
Yeah, Yankum Ropes. It's an American-made company out of Idaho. Yeah, out of Idaho. They make really good products. And a kinetic rope is probably your quickest and easiest and most useful recovery gear I say you can have, because it can pull. It's so quick to pull people. Like, you can use winches and everything else, but I mean, it's such unnecessary. Where you can just hook a rope up the front of one vehicle and the other, and the kinetic stretch and rebound will pop you right out.
That's a true story. Well, guys, go and check them out. Yankum Ropes. They're not sponsoring here, but they're getting a plug.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But, let's see if you can just do what Cody says. It's very true. Just keep it simple. You don't have to go overboard. A lot of the stuff you heard us say, the nicest stuff that we have was done by ourselves and not bought online. So enjoy it. Get out there. Have a breath of fresh air. Cody, thanks very much, dude.
You as well. You be safe. Take care of yourself. You and your family.
And yourself, man. Cheers. Bye.